So today what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of review some factoring patterns. Okay. Now you can adopt these to where they are equations where they equal 0, but right now we're just going to kind of think. And so very first thing, if you look up here, I have x squared minus 4x minus 32. The first step is to see if there's anything in common. Is there anything in common here? No. So then the next thing is I look to see if it's a perfect square trinomial. Is it a perfect square trinomial? No. Why? Because the 32 isn't a perfect square. So the next thing is, I notice that this is a 1. So since that's a 1, remember I just look at the last number. So I'm looking for two factors of 32 that differ by 4. What are those two factors of 32 that differ by 4?
8 and 4.
8 and 4. And so then remember, I now look at the negative. And how do I get a negative 4 from 8 and 4? Negative 4. 8, positive 4. So then now I've got two quantities. What will go first in each of those quantities? X. What will go next?
Negative 8.
Negative 8 and positive 4. And there you go. So when that first term is a 1, okay, that makes your life a lot easier. Oops, skipped one. Let's go back to this one. Okay, so 3x squared minus 5x minus 12. So first thing, can I take anything out? No. Is it a perfect square trinomial? No. So then I look and I see this is a 3. Okay, so do we remember what happens when that's not a 1 and that's another number? First and the last. So 3 times 12 is 36. So now that's the number I'm working with. So I'm finding two factors of 36 that differ by 5.
9 and 4.
9 and 4. Now how do I get a negative 5 from 9 and 4?
Negative 9.
Negative 9, positive 4. So now if you remember, this is that step where I make 4 terms. Do you remember how I do that?
3x squared minus 9 minus 9x plus 4 plus 4 minus 12.
Okay, so remember, this is where I rewrite that negative 5x using negative 9 and positive 4. Now a little bit about that. Remember, I could put the 4 first and the negative 9 second. It's just these next few steps will be a little different, but I will get the exact same answer. So let's go ahead and group since I've got 4 terms. What can you take out of the first bunch?
3.
And that leaves me with x minus 3. What can I take out of the second bunch?
4.
A 4. And that leaves me with x minus 3. So then now, what will that factor to be? 3x plus 4, and then x minus 3. Okay, so far so good? Okay, let's look at this one. 121x squared minus 36y squared. So first thing, I look to see if I've got something in common. Anything in common? Okay, and I now have 2 terms. So whenever I have 2 terms, what am I always looking for? Perfect squares, right. So is 121x squared a perfect square?
Yes. 11 times
11x. What about 36y squared?
6y.
6y. So do we remember now how we write that?
Yeah, 11x.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then 11x what? Minus 6y. There you go. All right, questions? All right, let's look at this one. 2x squared minus 40x plus 200. Is there something in common, yes or no?
Yes.
What's in common?
2.
2, so let's take a 2 out. What does that leave me with?
X squared minus 20x plus 100.
Okay. So then now I look to see if it's a perfect square trinomial. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, what's the first term that's squared?
X.
Last term that's squared?
10.
10. So remember now how I check. I take x times 10 and I get
10x.
10x. Is the middle term twice that?
Yes.
Yes. Now real quick, and we only did, yesterday when we looked at this, they were all positive. This one's actually a negative 20. So can somebody tell me what you think I'm going to do different?
You need the positive and the negative sign.
Okay, so first of all, my first term's going to be x, right? What's my last term going to be? 10. Whenever this sign here is negative in a perfect square trinomial, you're going to put a negative right there. Okay, so whenever that's a negative sign, you're going to have to put a negative, and then that will be your final answer. So that might be one thing you might need to go back and check and make sure that you've done that negative. So any questions? Alrighty, so now I had you do 12 through 33 yesterday, correct? Okay, I need you to go ahead and add 34, 35. Why don't you just add 34 and 35? So make it 12 through 35. Okay?